All right. So again, this is the exact steps that I took to grow my own LinkedIn followers, and I'm going to answer as many questions for you as we can. I will say we did some talking about this, and this probably is going to need to be maybe like a 2 or 3 part series of workshops just because there is a lot to cover. So if you think you'd be interested in, signing up for the remainder ones, we'll send out a message afterwards, and maybe we'll put a link to sign up for the next workshop. And then that way you can all we can keep it going with the, multiple workshops in a row. So this is also a checklist we're going to be sending out. So if you registered for today, whether you leave early or not, you will get this, and this will just help you summarize all the key points that we talk about today. So that will be coming to you as well. All right. So there's 2 things that I'm going to go over really quickly at a high level, and then we're going to dig deep into each one. So this is the playbook for LinkedIn content. And then I'm going to talk about the playbook for LinkedIn engagement. So those are the 2 sides of the coin, right? The content is the media part of social media. So what are we sharing? What media, what posts are we putting out there? This is what FMG can help you with. This is what you can outsource. This is the part that, really, really you can think about ahead of time, plan for it, come up with a strategy, and we can help you execute it. And I'm going to talk about this in a second. The second part is the engagement part. And this is the part that most people get wrong. And this is the part that truly, honestly, is just incredibly hard to outsource outside of your team. So yes, if you're the lead advisor, you can have an admin or train someone else on your team to do it. But you can't easily just go and hire somebody else to do this part for you. This is the part that really, really, internally, it's going to work if someone on your team takes ownership for it. So you want to outsource the part you can outsource, and then take ownership of the things that only your firm can do. So let's go back to the content. We want to ideally have 2 to 3 posts per week. I have 3 here just because I do have a nice mix that we'll talk about. So one of those posts should be something that's showing off your expertise as an investment manager, a financial planner, talking about, any kind of financial planning topic, taxes, estate plan, something like that. The next one should be something that gets the conversation going. So you could be talking about the World Series of baseball, right? Something that everybody's interested in, and that's going to get a lot more eyeballs on your post and your content. So it's not about showing off your expertise. It's about creating conversations that get comments going. And then the third post should be something that is sharing some sort of personal photo or anecdote. So it can still be financial planning related. It could be about, saving for your kids' college education, but then maybe you share a picture of your own kid or grandkid in the post itself. So it's something that's going to have a personal angle to it. So that is the mix that is going to really, really work well for content to get the most engagement, but also still show off your expertise, right? So we want a mix of getting eyeballs, the most eyeballs we can, with also, once we get those eyeballs and they go to your page, they see what you're all about. So this mix is really important. But as I wrote here, if you don't engage with others, it does not matter how good your content is. I'm going to say that again. If you're just posting content and you're not engaging with other people on LinkedIn, it doesn't matter if you have the best content in the world and you win a million awards for it, you will not see any kind of growth or actual ROI. So the playbook for engagement looks like this. You are going to every day want to be commenting on other people's posts. And ideally, you need to pick 5 comments to leave on every platform that you're on. So in this one, it would be LinkedIn. And I've kind of upped the ante here. I used to just say 5 comments for every one thing you post. If you really, really want to see like true success, I would take that one step further and say 5 comments on first-degree connections and 5 comments on second or third-degree connections. So those are the people that you're not yet connected with, and we're going to get into that in a minute. Then you also want to make sure you're responding to anyone who leaves any kind of comment on any of your posts, always. And then you want to have at least 5 DMs and then 3 connection requests and 3 follows, which we'll go through here in a second. And this does take about 15 minutes. Again, if you're doing it even 4 or 5 times a week, it doesn't need to necessarily be every single day. I certainly am not doing this every single day anymore, but this would be like the gold standard to really, really see a lot of growth. Okay. So daily, let's talk first about that commenting and engagement strategy, right? So this is a rule that you've probably heard me talk about before. I feel like I'm beating people over the head with it, but for every one thing you post, you need to, at a minimum, be commenting on at least 5 other people's posts, right? Because the engagement is what's key. So let's talk about what that might look like. You don't just log in and choose a post and say, great post. That does not do it. It needs to be something that adds to the conversation. It could ask a question. It could give an alternate opinion. And ideally, again, you don't want to just comment on the same people's posts over and over again, because that is not going to grow your network. The reason we're doing this commenting is to expand the number of people who become aware of us. So when I comment on Daniel Crosby's post here, anybody who he's connected with might see Samantha Russell's name in my post, my comment, and they're becoming exposed to it. They can click on my page and now see, oh, Samantha works with financial advisors, helping them with marketing, right? They're becoming aware of who I am. So you don't just comment on the same people over and over again. You want to comment on second and third degree connections as well. And additionally, think about people you really want to work with. Maybe you can, and I'll show you how to do this in a second. You look up a hospital network because you want to work with physicians. Look at the people. You can filter by who's been active on LinkedIn in the last 30 days and then leave comments on those people's posts. So they don't have to be a doctor themselves, but they're probably connected to a bunch of doctors, and now your content has the ability to be seen. So the strategy with commenting is we want more people to be kind of bump into us and become aware of us because they see our comments, right? So the other thing to notice is, like, on this one here, you can see my comment got 59 likes. That's an indicator to me that could be a great standalone post for me to post on my own. So sometimes your comments on their own can be really, really great, and you can turn that into future content. The second thing is, every time you get a comment, here's an example from Nate Lewis, right? John commented on his post, so he replied. So you want to make sure that you're replying to everyone. And if they say something generic like great post, you can say, what did you find helpful about it? Right? So that you're just keeping the conversation going. Remember, the algorithms love to see that conversation snowballing and more people contributing. So this is why you want to always make sure you reply to all the previous comments. So I'm just going to real quick here, go into LinkedIn. And if, by the way, if we're not connected on LinkedIn already, here is my account, Samantha Russell. And so when I come in here in the morning and I open it up, right, I'm going to, of course, see my first degree connections. So Andy, the head of wealth at Citi, he's got a post here. Maybe at FMG, we want to do more work with Citi. This would be a great one for me to leave a comment on. And I could say something that is going to get Andy's notice, right? Because only one person has commented on this, even though he has, let's click on his page. He's got 34,000 followers. So he's got a lot of followers. It's hard to stick out and get noticed. But on a post like this, where he's only got one comment, if I go and leave a comment, it's a much better chance of him seeing it, right? So I could say something like, Andy, I love the way you are highlighting Anne and the great work she has done. Congrats to both her and your whole organization. And maybe I go a little bit more in depth. I say a few other things, but now Andy's going to say, who's Samantha Russell, right? And want to click over and see who I am. And that is the reason why we do this commenting. So I keep going through and looking and seeing what else is going on. So here's another example. Oliver is an advisor in the UK. Maybe I want to do more work with advisors in the UK, but I'm already connected with Oliver, right? But Nimesh here is a second degree connection. So rather than comment on Oliver's post, I click here, I go to Nimesh's page, I see, okay, yes, he is in London. So now I go to his original post and I put my comment on his post, not the person I originally saw it from, right? Because I'm trying to expand my network within people in the UK and in London. Does that make sense to everyone? So again, now he's going to see that I commented. And if I keep commenting on his stuff, he might then say, hey, I like what you're doing for advisors. We should talk more, things like that. So I'm not just DMing him and saying, hey, I see you're in the UK. I'm starting to work with advisors in the UK. Would you like to set up a time to chat? I'm just kind of raising my hand and saying, I'm here over in the corner. Would you pay attention to what I'm saying, basically, and then hoping he's going to go back and look. So this is very much a long game. And like I said, you're not doing this all day long. You're going in and you're choosing a few people to leave these very strategic comments on. Now, another thing you can think about is, let's say you have a client and you would love a bunch more clients like that particular client, right? So, let's see, who wants to be a guinea pig? I'm going to pull up your page. Anybody here want to be a guinea pig for me? And I will. Okay, Megan Bach said she would. Okay, let's see, Megan. Is this you, Megan? Okay, Megan. Yes. Okay. So I'm going to click on her page here and I can see you have 428 connections and we have 20 mutual connections, right? I can see all of that. And so I could start going through and looking at some of your posts that you've gotten. Or let's say me and you, though, were a first degree connection already. And I said, Megan is my ideal client. And I want to connect with other people that are just like her. I would, if we were already first degree, okay, I guess this isn't going to work, Megan, because we're not first degree. So maybe I'll pick, let's see, let's pick someone that I'm already a first degree connection with. 1 second. Okay, so Andy here. So we're already first degree connections, right? I can click now on all of his different connections that we have, and I can see, right? Okay, here's the second degree connections that we have, the third degree. And I can go through and start seeing who is he connected to that maybe I want to know, and then click over to their page and leave comments on their content, because I'm thinking Andy's an ideal contact of mine. These other people he's connected to that are also financial advisors are also ideal clients of mine. So those are the people I want to leave comments on. So that is the way that the commenting that I would go about it. Hopefully that's making sense for all of you. So you want to do that, and you want to do that before your post goes up. So if you're using a tool like FMG, we've really tried to optimize the time of day, and that's usually going to be in the morning around 9 a.m., between 9 and 12. So if you can get on to LinkedIn first thing in the morning, when you're drinking your coffee or once you drop your kids off at school or before you open up email, spend 15 minutes doing this, you're going to do what we call prime the algorithm to say, yes, I'm here, I'm active. The algorithm loves that. And it's going to then do a better job boosting your posts to more people. The other thing that I wanted to point out is there's 2 types of connections you can have. So let's go back to my network here. So we have connections, right? And then followers. There's a difference. So I have 12,685 connections. These are people who've said, let's connect. And when you have a connection, I am now following them and they are following me. So if you're connected with somebody, you're also following them. But you can also follow someone and not be connected to them. So if we click on my page here and we see we've got 40,452 followers, but I'm only connected with 12,000 some connections, right? So there is a difference. So someone can follow you without being connected to you. So if you follow me, Samantha Russell, but it says I'm your second degree connection, that means we're not actually connected. You're following me. So you're going to see my content, but we can't send each other DMs without having Sales Navigator, things like that. Does that make sense for everybody? The difference between a follower and a connection. So you only get 30,000 connections on LinkedIn. Most people will never ever reach that, so you don't have to worry about it. Thanks for the thumbs up for everybody saying that. But if it is something that you're thinking about long term, you don't want to just accept every connection request from random people that are not going to help with your business, because you will max out at 30,000. Now, how about actually growing your network? One of the things, I'm going to pull it up here, is the next area we're going to talk about is how to be intentional about growing, right? So I'm going to show you more great content and, what to think about, but if you don't have a network, no one is going to see your content in the first place. So maybe let's do this in the chat. Tell us about how many connections or how many followers you have. That would be great. And we'll get a sense of kind of where everybody is benchmark wise, right? Because I'm obviously an anomaly. Most people do not have 40,000. And you don't need to have 40,000, right? We're not trying to connect with 1 million people. We're trying to connect with the right people. So I see everything between a couple hundred to a few thousand, and it looks like the average is somewhere between 1 to 2,000. I feel like those are the numbers I'm seeing the most, but you can look at everybody, what they're putting in the chat there, and get a sense for yourself, of where you are. So, and I saw somebody who wrote that 20,000. Good job. Shellen. Is that how you say your name? I'm sorry if I said that wrong, unless that was a typo, but 20,000 is fantastic. So one of the things that I did for years and years and years when I was first starting to grow on this platform was this. Every single Friday, I would go through the last 5 days of my calendar, and everyone I took a meeting with and everyone I emailed with, I would drop their name into LinkedIn and send them a connection request. And I did not even add a note, because I'm thinking, we already emailed back and forth, we met, I don't need to add a note. Now, you might disagree and like to add a note. This was just my personal preference and a way to make it really easy for me to execute this. So Friday, I would do this at the end of the day, every single week. And by the end of the year, my very first year on LinkedIn, I had substantially grown by a few thousand just from this alone, right? So this is a very, very low-hanging, easy fruit way to get going, okay? So let me just show you again what that looks like. Oops. You come in here and, you type someone's name in. So Darren McKee, I don't know why he's in my search, but there he is. So he's a second-degree connection. If you have their specific email address, you can add their email. And if they're signed up on LinkedIn under that email, you will get them there as well. So this is, again, a very easy, like low-hanging fruit way to connect with people. Now, let's say, remember we did the commenting strategy. I'm leaving a comment on someone's post and then they're commenting back and we keep going back and forth. Then that might make sense to then extend an invitation to them after you've commented back and forth a few times. So let's go through this post that I did on, okay. So here we've got Martin. Martin and I are second-degree connections, yet he left a comment on one of my posts. So I might click over to him and say, and I see we have some other mutual connections. I might send him a message and say, thanks for your interest in our upcoming event, and just wanted to connect here ahead of the webinar, right? So this is another way that you can grow really easily, is by reaching out to the people that are already leaving the comments. Hopefully, again, that makes sense. And I know usually we get asked this question. So if you have a free or premium account, you can send up to 100 requests a week. If you have Sales Navigator, you can send to 250 a week. Sometimes it's a little bit less than that, but again, most people are not going to bump into these numbers. The one thing to pay attention to is that right after you connect with someone or someone follows you is the best time for them to see your content. So if Bob Smith and I just become connected on LinkedIn, for the next couple days, whatever I post is going to show up probably in his feed, because the algorithm says Bob just connected with Samantha. He's interested in her and her content. We're going to show him what she's putting out there. And then the algorithm's going to pay attention. Does Bob leave comments? Does Bob dwell on my post and look at it? Or does he just scroll right past it? And if he starts scrolling right past it, it's going to stop showing Bob my content. But if Bob starts interacting with my content, he's going to see it more and more. So let me know in the chat, do you feel like the same people over and over again are in your feed all of the time and you constantly see their content? And if so, it's probably because everyone's saying yes. Those are the people that you're leaving comments on a lot, or you're dwelling to read their posts. And when I say dwell, what I mean is this. when I'm scrolling through a page here, if I have to hit more, now clicking more tells the algorithm that's an indicator that person is interested. Now, if I sit here on Julia's post and I really start reading and I'm scrolling and my dwell time looking at her post on my screen is high, they know I'm reading it or they assume I'm reading it. The longer I sit here looking at it, the higher the dwell time, the more the algorithm's going to say she's interacting with that post. So then they'll say, okay, we should keep showing it to more people because it's keeping people on LinkedIn and interacting with the content, right? So again, dwell time is a big part of the algorithm. The people you've recently connected with are the most likely to then be shown your content, and it works both ways. So if you want to be noticed by somebody, that's why leaving comments on their post is so crucial. All right. So I'm actually going to skip ahead to a few more things about the algorithm since we're just talking about it, and then we'll go back to the other content types because I see some questions. So I already said point number one of what the algorithm prioritizes. The second thing is it's going to show more content for people who have a large amount of engagement. So if there's a post and it's got 100 comments, you're going to be a lot more likely to see it than a post that got 2, because LinkedIn is assuming the one that got 100 comments is more interesting to viewers. It also, the algorithm favors good quality comments over just a bunch of likes or hearts. So if you've gotten a post that everybody's hearting it and you're like, well, why don't I have that many impressions? It's probably because you don't have good quality comments on it. And then this one, I think we've talked about before, but the algorithm prefers what we call native content to linking out to something. So let's go back in here and show you. Okay. So here we have one emergency podcast episode. Alan's talking about changes in the government, and then he, in the comments here is where he links to the episode, right? He's not linking to the episode here itself. That would be, this is, it's not native content. You are still linking out, but it's in the comments itself. Versus, I'm sure you guys have seen people who will say, my latest blog post talks about this, or my podcast talks about that. And then right in the post itself, they have a link to it. So here's another example of native content. You've got the picture and you've got the text about it. You don't need to click anything to go get the rest of the information. So this is native content. If you have a video and you say, go watch my video on YouTube, and you put a link to YouTube, that's linking out. But if you say, here's my video, and you upload it to LinkedIn, then that's native, right? So that is why we want to, as much as we can, keep people on the platform, because that's what LinkedIn prioritizes, is that native content. And we at FMG have really changed our content strategy for social media to take this native content, zero-click content approach, where somebody doesn't have to click. They are going to get the gist of the information just by looking at your post itself. And I'm just going to show you kind of what that would look like really quickly here. So this would be an example, right? So this is a post from FMG, from our content library. So we've got an image here that we partnered with Y Charts to create. We have a bunch of information about the image itself. You don't have to click over to Jeff's website to get the gist of what he's talking about with tax rates, and will your tax rate be higher in the future? He's giving away the information in the post itself. This kind of post is going to get the most comments because it's got meat to it. It's something you can actually respond to, right? So when you're crafting your posts, you want to be thinking about, am I giving away the gist of the information in the post itself? I don't want to make people click off of LinkedIn to go understand what it is I'm talking about. And when you're using FMG's tool, or if you're in our Do It For Me program, you'll notice that, again, this is how we've rewritten our social posts to be designed as well. Okay, so how do we use the algorithm to our advantage? So here are the things that I would say, and then I'm going to go into LinkedIn to show you. So number one, I feel like I'm beating a dead horse, but hopefully you're getting the importance. Engage with others as much as possible in DMs, in comments. The more engagement that you have and the more you give, the higher your views and impressions will be. We talked about the 80-20 rule, right? For every one thing you post, leaving comments on at least 5 other people's posts. And then also that you should be really doing a lot of that engagements about 30 minutes before your post goes up. Now, I saw some questions about personal and business pages, and I really want to highlight this. You, of course, want to have a business page for your business, like 100%. Oops. But just know your business page will never, ever, ever get the engagement that your personal page will get. So FMG has a LinkedIn page. We have about almost 20,000 followers, which is fantastic. We get, on any post, we can get up to maybe 10 comments, which is great, but it's never, ever going to have the engagement that me or Susan Theodore, our CMO, or Scott White, our CEO, are going to get, because it's a business page and people connect with people, not businesses. So when you have a business page, just know that your expectations for the engagement will be lower. And if you're thinking about using LinkedIn as a growth platform, you really need to identify one or two people from your team that can be the quote unquote face, to get more of that engagement on a personal level. Okay. We talked about the last two things too. So I'm going to look at a lot of the questions that came in before we move on to some of the next sections. Okay, so let's take the emoji one, because that's a popular question. Do the emojis help? Do they hurt? What should it be? So I'm going to pull up just a couple of my posts and kind of go through them and talk about them. So one of the things that more than anything else, and why people use emojis, is we want our posts on social media to be easy to read and easy to scan, not scam, scan. So you can see here, right? I've got a really great hook, is the time you're spending on LinkedIn doing anything to grow your business. And then this is really easy to scan. It's not a big paragraph of text. It's sentence, sentence, sentence. And in each sentence it doesn't wrap around to the next line. It's just easy to scan. Then the emojis are used here to break up the text, right? So that is really, really helpful. And then I am tagging a few people, but I'm not going crazy with the tags. So for some of you, I'm sure you all see posts where 40 people get tagged. LinkedIn pays attention. If you tag someone and they don't leave a comment, they don't like your post, they don't engage with it, they say that person is just tagging to tag, and it gets downgraded. So if you are going to tag somebody, make sure there's a reason and that they will engage with the post. Don't just tag to tag. And I didn't even use any hashtags on this one, but you can use a few hashtags if you're hoping on the search side, maybe somebody's searching something like digital marketing and you want it, your post to come up there. But just realize that for these really big, broad terms like wealth management, digital marketing, there's going to be thousands of posts a day. So the chances of somebody finding it are pretty slim. We still add hashtags, but their use is going, like their importance in the algorithm is becoming less and less. Okay. Somebody asked, any thoughts on short form video for LinkedIn? Yes, we are encouraging people left and right to make video. And if you are in, for instance, the FMG library right here, you can see all these different social posts that we have. One thing that I've seen people doing that's working really well is they'll pull up a post and then they highlight what it is that we're talking about. And so we've got this great chart here about the election and how the economy and the stock market fared depending on who is president. You could have a short form video that you make where you're describing the post that we've already written for you, right? So it's just going to really add context and make it even more personal and engaging. And for a video like this, everyone, I literally opened up my cell phone, held it up to a good light so that I'm looking into the light, recorded it, and you can add these subtitles really, really easily. A tool that we love is called Veed.io. Aubrey, if you'll put it in the chat. On this one, though, I actually just went into Instagram and used Instagram's editing features. I didn't post it to Instagram, but I used Instagram's story feature to add the captions and add this little text at the top. And then I downloaded it and posted it here instead of to Instagram. So again, that's a really, really easy way to do it too. But the thing about video that I want to remind everybody, when you're scrolling through and you see me in my hotel room talking, you can tell this is not a corporate branded video, right? There are going to be videos in your feed that are higher production value. Let's see if we can find one. Right here we go. We can tell this is a business video. So we're less likely to pay attention to it. We're going to scroll right by it. The video that people pay attention to looks like their friend posted it. So do not be afraid to just use the tool you have already, your phone. Again, you can use something like v.io. The more authentic, informal video performs really, really well. Oh, Jody said, thank you for the Veed recommendation. And Denise, everybody who's saying Veed, awesome. I love that tool. And see how I just said, they even have a thing where they'll delete any of the wells, uhs from the video as well that you posted. So that is really, really great. Can FMG post video? Oh, Aubrey, maybe you'll know the answer to this. We have been working on the ability for you to upload native video and have it go directly to your social post. And it either just went live or is just about to go live. So we are so excited about that, Lynn. Aubrey, I don't remember if it went live this month or if it's going live next month, but it is very, very shortly. Aubrey said she's going to check for us. It's coming soon. It's been a top feature request. We know and understand. It's a lot easier, especially for all of those of you from compliance standpoint too. You want it to go through compliance and FMG, not upload it natively here. And oh, beginning of the year, said Bully Hope. Thank you. So that is coming soon, and we are thrilled about that as well. Okay. So I just want to pull up, where did I put it? Here. Oh, here we go. One of the other things, a lot of you are hosting events, whether it's a client event or a virtual event. There is a really cool feature on LinkedIn now where you can create an event and then invite people directly from LinkedIn to register for the event. So if you don't have someone's email yet, but you're connected to them on LinkedIn, this is a great, great way to get more top of the funnel people into your network. You still set it up via Zoom or whatever platform you're using, but then you just create an event landing page in LinkedIn, and you can directly invite people to the event that way, and they'll get a reminder through LinkedIn when the event is starting. So this is a really great new feature, again, to find more people. So we're getting a lot of people asking about converting somebody who's following you on LinkedIn to a booked meeting. This is one of the ways that I have gone about it historically. So again, I'm just going to use myself as an example. So let's go to, all of my posts here. So let's say I have a post. Again, remember, we have a mix of more personal photos, stories, educational content. So here's one I did on the Great Wealth Transfer. And I'm talking all about how the Great Wealth Transfer has been here. People are sick of talking about it. Here's some ideas of what you can actually do to capitalize on it. And then I said, if you want a pre-written family meeting invitation email that we wrote for our Do It For Me customers at FMG, just comment family meeting and we'll send it your way. The thing that works with this strategy is, remember, the more comments you get on a post, the more engagement, that the more people are going to see it, the higher the engagement, the more the algorithm is going to say, show this to more people. So all the people that are saying, family meeting, Mike's friends all have a chance to see that. And then the algorithm is saying more and more people should see this post, right? But then in the DMs, I could go, let me just scroll through, and I say, hi, here's the family meeting email you requested. It comes directly from FMG's Do It For Me marketing program. Advisors who use this service are paired with one of our in-house marketing concierges. So I'm sharing something of value, and then I'm telling him where it's coming from. So it's not a hard sell. It's just informational. If you want to know more, this is one of the valuable things we offer, and here it is. This is a great strategy to move people from just consuming your content on LinkedIn or engaging with you to being interested in the service you have. So maybe, you really offer a great service where, you upload somebody's tax return to Holistaplan, one of our favorite partners, and you're looking at what tax opportunities they might have. And so you have a content piece that talks about that. And you say, somebody keeps commenting on your posts about taxes. And so you say to that person in a DM, hey, I see you keep, commenting on my posts about taxes. This is one of the things we help clients with. If you're, interested, here's a blog post we wrote on it. So you're not even saying like, here's a time to meet with me, right? Again, that's a little too salesy for the first interaction. You're just saying, here's more information. And the biggest tip I can give when it comes to social media is we want to do what's called the give, then ask. So most people, if somebody connects with them, right? I have people asking to connect with me. Let's say I accept Mike's or Mikkel, I'm sorry. Most people, what they do is the minute that person accepts them, what do? They go and they send him a message saying, hey, I see you're in insurance. I help financial advisors and insurance professionals with marketing. Do you want to meet with me and let me talk to you? Let me pitch you. That does not work, right? But instead, if I connect with him and I go through and I look at his content and I see some of the things he's doing and I leave a comment and then engage, and after a couple weeks, I send him a message saying, that was a really great post that you posted about life insurance last week. Great job. Or I learned a lot. That's going to open the door to the conversation. So this is why this is the part you cannot outsource. We can handle helping you write the content, have the visuals, create the zero-click, content from FMG side, but the engagement part, someone on your team has to own, and that's the part that's going to move the needle more than anything else, right? Okay, I know I'm going around back and forth to a lot of different things because I'm trying to answer as many questions as I can. So let me go through and pull up some more questions. And while I'm doing that, I'm just going to also show you a couple examples of other posts that have performed well. So again, yes, you want to have a strategy, but incorporating current events also works really, really well. If everybody's talking about something and you add to the conversation, you're going to get more comments, right? Everyone's talking about the World Series, and you can talk about baseball and ask a question about, what's the number one World Series game that you remember so vividly, and have you ever been to one? It's not telling anybody anything about you being a financial advisor, but you're going to get a bunch of comments because people go to social media to engage with people, to have fun, to take a break in their day. And so they'll engage with it. And then your next post can be something financial related, right? So you need to have that mix. I already showed you this one. I mentioned sharing personal stories and how much they can help. One of the things we do in our Do It For Me program is we'll often write a post and say, hey, tip, with this post, share a personal photo of X, Y, or Z to give you some ideas of things you can do to really personalize it. And whenever you share a personal photo, folks, you will get the most engagement more than anything else, because that's why we're there on social media, right? To connect with other people. And if you are thinking about, what's going to grab people's attention, the more you have a solid first line, we should all be spending the most attention to the first line of the post, because the first line has a job. It's to get us to read the second line. And the second line's job is to get us to read the third line, right? So if we don't win at line one, they're not going to read anymore. So we really, really want to pay attention to that very first line, or first hook, if you will. And the example I gave before about comment family meeting, if you want that, you don't even have to have a resource to do this. So here's a great example. This advisor created a Canva image, 7 topics to consider, when you're thinking about working with an advisor. And then he just said to people, leave a number, like which number is the one that's most top of mind for you. It's very easy for someone to say 3, 6, 4, to get some comments rather than, making them type out a longer winded one. So the easier you make it for people to leave a comment, the more comments that you will get. So we talked about the algorithm a little already. All right, I am going to go into all your questions. You guys have so many great questions, and keep them coming. Paul said, you say it only takes 15 to 20 minutes a day to leave these comments, but I find it challenging to find even 5 relevant posts to comment on. That, I get it, Paul. Does anybody else feel that way? Let us know in the chat that you just find that you have the same things over and over, maybe from other advisors, and you don't want to comment on other advisors' posts. So what I would do is stop going to your homepage then. It's probably based on the connections you have. And instead, go to the search, the LinkedIn bar, exactly what Denise just said. So let's say, you're working with business owners or restaurateurs or something like that, right? You can search, I'm not going to be able to spell restaurateurs, so that might not be good. But let's say I'm saying restaurant manager groups, and I'm going to look at different posts that different restaurant managers might have, and then comment on these posts. And you can even filter it even further, right? So you can, if I go to all filters here, did they post recently? What kind of content type was it? If there's a certain company. So maybe you want to, only people that are part of a certain enterprise or group, you can do that. Or let's just say maybe there's a local hospital, right? So Penn State, that's where I am, maybe Penn State Health. We want to go to Penn State Health and we want to look at employees that work there. So we can go to all filters. We can say, posted by, do we want to just post it from first degree connections? Do we want to have it be just images, just videos, things that were posted in the last 24 hours, right? And then you could filter it and get all the results and then comment that way. So that is a really good way to find things to comment on. Hopefully that helps you. Okay, I read through a lot of content. I don't feel like a lot of it is adding value, so I don't engage with it. No, I would not engage with content that you don't, the whole point is to pick and choose things. It's kind of like, imagine you go to a networking event and there's a bunch of people in the room and you know who's who. You want to pick the people to talk to that you feel like are going to have some ROI for your business, right? So you want to talk to the people that are salespeople at certain companies or decision makers at, other organizations, or maybe are well connected. It's the same exact approach here. Choose the comments to leave very wisely based upon the goals for your business. Okay. Let's see. Denise said to search wine. Okay, Denise, I'm going to take you up on that. We're just searching wine in general. These are, okay, all different vineyards and wineries. Interesting. So I don't know exactly the strategy there, but yes, I think, again, there's lots of different ways you can go about it. Oh, she said, I said that when you could not spell restaurateur. So again, you can search all different kinds of things, as you can see up here. So maybe a lot of your advisors are into pickleball. I'm sorry, not advisors, your clients, or if they all live in a certain area, right? So if I search State College, PA, and that might be kind of a bad one because if I just search Cleveland, it'll be easier. But here I can start seeing people that are, again, through filters, work for certain companies based in State College. And now if I'm trying to target people in my hometown, I'm going to have a lot better chance looking at content in that area. All right. I am going to go back here really quickly and just say a few things about optimizing your profile. So the first one is, if you don't already, and tell me in the chat, I'd love to know, do you have a featured section currently? So remember, the goal is we're leaving all these comments, we're getting these eyeballs. We want people to land back on our page and learn something about us and how we can help them. So the number one is you want a banner at the top of the page that, really kind of highlights what you do, how you help. You can use Canva to create this really, really easily. So I have the intersection of marketing, technology, and financial services. And then under your description, you want to say, what you do, any other accolades you have. You also now can have a call to action. So I have book me to speak. You can say, let's chat about your finances, or learn how we help physicians retire, whatever it is. And you can take it to whatever website that you want. So all of this now is part of your LinkedIn profile, and you can click this little pen here to edit this section. So this is where you can go in and add those links, add in the call to action that you want, all that good stuff. This is the featured section I was talking about right here. So I've noticed a lot of people do not have a featured section, and a lot of you are saying you don't. So what this is it's highlighting your best post or your best work that you would want, if someone lands on your page, them to see. And I notice that I will get comments on these posts all the time still, even though they're months old, because if someone lands on my profile, they're clicking on these and seeing what it's all about, right? So this one is 5 reasons you're not getting any results on social media and how to fix it. And so what you can do for this featured section is you can just come over here and you click the pen, and now you can, reposition which ones go where, drag them around, or we can add a new featured section. So you can add a link to your favorite podcast episode you ever did. I'm a guest on a lot of podcasts. I could add one in. You could add a link to your website. You can add a photo, or let's say you have a post and it performed really well, like this one did. I can say, I want to feature this post. And on these 3 little dots here, I'm going to say feature at the top of the profile. And now when I click over to my section, there it is, the feature in the featured section. And then let's say I'm like, oh, actually, no, I don't want to feature that. That's not relevant. I can just say remove from featured. So really, really easy to do. And somebody just brought up a good point. You do need to turn on creator mode, which is free, in order to unlock this featured section of your profile. Okay. Let me also show you that under your profile, the other thing I notice a lot of people do is this about section. They either leave it blank or they don't say something of value. So the same way your bio should be a conversation starter, this is really where you want to position yourself as an expert. Why would somebody landing on your profile want to work with you? What do you offer that is really interesting or different or engaging? And that should go here in your about section. Write it in first person. It should not say Samantha Russell is the chief evangelist at FMG. It's not your obituary, people. It is how you help people and what solutions you provide. So make sure that you have that really, really good. So in this slide deck here, I'm not going to go through all of them today, but we have information on how to set up your personal and business pages, how to create a good banner, how to write a good headline, all of this that I briefly went over today. And in a future session, we will talk more about optimizing your profile to get found by more people, all of that good stuff. I just wanted to point out in the FMG library, if you're currently using FMG, if you search under social, you will see all these different social posts that we have. And again, you can either, schedule it out in advance or post it right now. But what's so great is any of these posts are editable. So if you, for instance, were in the path of the recent hurricanes, I'm so sorry if you were, you could take something like this and say, this is what happened to my family or my community, make it personal, turn the photo into a photo, of your own family, and then post it, right? So the content's already done, but you're just personalizing it. And then it's still going to go through compliance and all that good stuff, but you can schedule it out, but also personalize it. The other thing, when you're looking at, the different content that we have in here, is you'll see sometimes there's these ones called sequences. So what those are is rather than it just being one post, you can see on the left, it's actually 10 different posts. So it is happening over multiple days. So the first post goes out and then it says delay 1 day. Then the second post out, delay 3 days. So rather than you needing to schedule out a bunch of posts, it's a sequence of posts that every few days one is dripped out. And so it's a little bit easier to set it up once and know it's going to drip out over time. And yes, you can comment and edit those sequences as well. But you'll notice in here, when you're looking at these, there is a mix of course, things that are related to specifically finance, right? Stronger than expected job growth. We've got the emojis. We've got it really easy to scan. But then we also have things that are not related to finance at all. So this one is about how more people can see the Northern Lights over time and what that might look like. And it would be great. So many people on the East Coast I know had that. You could upload your own photo, but the caption is already written for you. So again, makes it really, really easy to just share a lot more content. If you are looking at all this or listening to all this and saying, okay, I want to spend time, Samantha, doing this part, right? I want to spend time doing the engaging, and I need FMG's help with the content. And also, once I get somebody into my prospect list, I have no plan to drip on them, because that's the other thing. You can get leads from LinkedIn, but then what happens once you get them? You got to keep dripping on them. If you get their email, you want to put them in an email sequence. And that's where FMG can come in. We also have a Do It For Me program, because for years and years, we would host these events and then tell everybody what to do. And someone would say, can you just do it for me? So Aubrey, maybe if you would pop up the poll, if you're interested in learning more about our Do It For Me program, this is where you're paired with a concierge on our team. Every month they meet with you, they show you our editorial calendar. They say, this is the content you should put out based on your target audience. They would help you set up events when you want to run events. They help you with the email sequences, your email groups for prospects and clients. If you are interested in that, just answer the poll, yes, please. And we will follow up with you directly after today's event about that. So that hopefully will be helpful. And then that way we know we're targeting the right people after the event if you are specifically interested. Awesome. Thank you. Okay. I know we have just a few minutes left, so many of you need to go. I'm going to try to just answer any of the remaining questions that came in that might be helpful for everybody else to hear. So I'm going to share my LinkedIn page one more time. And again, you're all going to get a checklist of everything we suggest you do, as well as all the slides from today. So hopefully that will really help you. Okay. I answered about that. Oh, somebody's asking about, like, how do I monitor my own engagement? When you click into your own profile, oops, and you see posts and activity here, this is where you can see all of your posts themselves, but then under comments, you can see all of the different comments that you've left. So this is a really great way to keep yourself honest, to say, how many comments did I actually leave? You know, who have I been commenting on? So this will give you all of your activity right there. Another thing that I love to do is I come in here and I look back at the last however many months, and I see which of my posts were the most popular. So this one, 3,000 impressions, this one, 9,000, this one, 35,000, this one, 20,000. And if it performed really well once, it will perform really well again. So I'll go back through, and anything that, again, performed well 6 months ago, 12 months ago, I will just repurpose it. I'll copy and paste it, maybe change the image, and I reshare it, and it will perform well again. And remember that if you're adding new connections all the time, all those new connections will not have seen your post the first time. But also, people don't remember. I mean, think about how much content is in your feed, everyone. You are not going to remember every little word that I wrote, 3 years ago. I have posted this image at least once a year for the last however many years, and it always, always performs well. So repurposing your content can also work really, really well, and don't be afraid to do that. All right, let's see what other things do we got in the chat. Okay, so there's lots of people saying thank you and this was helpful. So I really appreciate that. Again, if we're not already connected, please connect with me here. If you all would like to join us for workshop part 2, we will try to get that set up before we send the next replay out, so that you can just register from the replay email. And the next one, I'm going to go deeper into more tools that you can use, AI tools, our mobile app, as well as these other third-party extensions that you can use to get a deeper dive into your analytics on LinkedIn. And then also the events, how to go through your contacts and your network and invite people directly. So we will share more of that. I know this was like drinking from a fire hose, but hopefully this gave you just some really good high-level insight into what to outsource, being able to hire FMG, a marketing company, to help you with the content and the posts, versus what you need to handle in-house yourself. And here is the QR code. If you missed the poll or you just want to learn more about working with us, We love getting to talk with all of you, hear what your marketing challenges are, and help you in any way we can. So thank you for your time today. And I hope to see you all connecting with me on LinkedIn or working with us at FMG soon. Thanks, everybody.